Hi folks, I'm Santosh Krishnan. I'm the General Manager for Elastic Security, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. Elastic Security is an analytics-based solution for the modern data-driven security operations center. Because when you look at security as a whole these days, it is all about collecting data from a wide variety of sources. Typically, these are event-based data, and then storing them for future investigative purposes, as well as applying behavioral rules and machine learning algorithms in order to conduct your detection and response functions as well. So when you do not have a modern data foundation to your security operations center, what happens is you end up cutting a lot of corners. You end up not ingesting all the data which you require to protect your environment. And often what that then translates into is a longer mean time to remediation. And the way that works is if you're not collected all this data in your security operations center platform, you then have to rehydrate it, usually from archival systems, in order to do your retroactive investigations. What we want to do over here in Elastic Security is to take those problems away from you, make all the data that you require to conduct your security operations, keep them at your fingertips, and give you very rich investigative experiences so that your MTTR is reduced. As such, then, the vision of Elastic Security is to use the power of the Elasticsearch platform to modernize your security operations. Now, specifically what that means is we leverage the wide, scalable, ingest capabilities of the Elastic platform to give you an extended visibility into your attack surface. So you don't have to make any compromises of what data to collect, as well as how long you need to store them for. We also give you out-of-box prevention and detection capabilities so that you can respond to threats in real time. This uses our both rule-based systems as well as machine learning systems. And then for your retroactive investigations, we are also allow you to accelerate your responses by giving you very insightful investigative workflows. Now, we do all of this in a unified solution because we do appreciate the problems that you must be facing with tool sprawl. So we do like to provide a number of use cases in the same unified solution, and all ready for your hybrid cloud deployments. So we can protect you whether you're on-premise, in your data center, or any of the cloud service providers. And within the same deployment, we can actually protect you across all of those environments together. Now, when you look at the use cases, at the end of the day, we allow you to bring data from all kinds of sources where you can decide to bring your own data from your existing ecosystem components. We provide you out-of-the-box integrations and connectors, or you leverage our endpoint technology in order to provide first-party protections for your endpoints and cloud assets. All of this is actually on top of the same platform. And in the end, what that translates to is you essentially get your security analytics, your SIEM use cases, your EDR use cases, and cloud security use cases all in a consolidated fashion. So the way you are doing threat detection, threat prevention, investigation, response, they all occur in a uniform fashion so that all you have to worry about as a SOC analyst is your protection responsibilities. At the core of what we do is try to reduce your mean time to remediation. This is at the crux of pretty much everything that we do, including the out-of-box connectors that we provide for you, our out-of-box detection capabilities. More recently, we have actually introduced a number of advancements in order to save analyst time and improve that MTTR. You saw earlier in a demo about ESQL, which is Elastic Query Language, which can help analysts conduct sophisticated investigations. In addition to that, we, over the last couple releases, have introduced a few other key capabilities. It all starts with data ingestion. Since we launched Elastic Security, we now have numerous out-of-box integrations so that depending upon whether you want to connect your cloud systems, your email servers, your endpoints, your network systems, we have out-of-the-box integrations for all of those data sources. Now, when we ingest that data, we map them into the Elastic Common schema. So this is what you get out of the out-of-box integrations, so that these remain indexed for your future search requirements. Now, with those integrations, you also get a lot of content, which essentially contains, predefined searches, visualizations of the data which you have ingested, and so on. These integrations, mind you, are fully supported by Elastic, so it is supported by our engineering team, and it is backed by our technology alliances, so that you can rest assured in terms of its performance and its quality. Last but not the least, in addition to these out-of-box integrations that we provide, we also allow you, using something called custom packages, to onboard custom connectors. So, and the source of the data can be anywhere from syslog receivers to cloud storage services to log files, as well as your own APIs. Once you've ingested data, we then get to gleaning insights. In this particular area, very recently, we have introduced a number of capabilities in order to accelerate your investigation time. A key advancement which we made recently is the introduction of risk profiles to user and host entities. And the way we do that is by coalescing all the, let us call it, correlated alerts, so that we provide you a consolidated contextual understanding of what those alerts are. Using this, you can, you can overlay our detection capabilities on top of that entity risk analytics in order to do all the things from insider threats, like exfiltration of data, as well as advanced threats like lateral movement and so on. In addition to providing that user profile and risk score, we are also introducing what we call our entity analytics dashboard for your investigative purposes. Last but not the least, much like everything that we do in Elastic, we allow you to customize this experience, so you can actually add your own classification of which hosts you consider critical and such, and we will then use that criticality in the way we compute our risk scores. Finally, to reduce your MTTR, we have several enhancements recently in order to conduct faster alert triage, essentially to expedite your alert triage. It goes without saying that the risk scores which I alluded to just now can actually be used to prioritize your investigations, and that does lead you to faster MTTR for the most relevant alerts in your ecosystem. We are also introducing an interactive investigation guide to take advantage of detections and how you overlay that risk and analytics with it. Last but not the least, for your response workflows, we actually provide native out-of-the-box integration with SOAR and workflow products. For example, Times would be one example of that. In addition to reducing the mean time to remediation and response, the other goal which I had mentioned initially was to reduce the complexity in your SOC. And the best way we address that is by reducing your tool sprawl, by bringing together adjacent threat detection, investigation, and response products, all of them together in one unified solution. If you recall, last summer, we introduced Elastic Security for Cloud, so cloud security to protect your cloud environments. And we have made some recent advancements and deliveries in that as well. A key pillar of cloud security is cloud workload protection. This is the ability to see in deep detail what is going on with your cloud workloads down to the kernel level. We had introduced that in a limited capacity last summer. It is now generally available. Now, this is the technology where we leverage the eBPF Linux capabilities down at the kernel level to collect rich telemetry, render that into a Linux process model, and again, mapping that into ECS to give you the search capabilities of all that telemetry which you have collected. A very nice way to visualize this particular capability is by using what we call session view. So that's essentially a new investigative workflow. Session view gives you that deep down to kernel level visibility for your cloud workloads. When you add that to the Linux EDR out-of-box capabilities that we already have, that's how you get your cloud workload protection end-to-end. The other key pillar of cloud security is cloud posture management or cloud security posture management, the ability to assess your configuration and determine whether it is secure or not. This is now available in the product as well for AWS. We will be addressing other cloud service providers like GCP and Azure very soon. At the crux of it here, what we do is we collect cloud metadata for all kinds of services like S3 and EC2 and Kubernetes, and then applies pre-built CIS benchmark scans on top of that so that you know that your cloud environment is configured securely. And then all of these are visualized in this thing called findings. So that's another dashboard that you can use to assess the cloud security posture. Very soon, and this is now available in a limited availability, you will also see cloud vulnerability management as well. Here we are leveraging APIs like snapshot APIs in AWS to provide you a dashboard of known vulnerabilities. And this is all part of the findings dashboard now so that the analysts can actually remediate those as well. Let me hand over with that to James Spiteri, who can actually show all of these cool things in action.
Thanks, Santosh. Hi, everyone. My name is James. Really excited to be able to demonstrate some of the features that Santosh was just describing for us in his presentation. And I thought I'd start off with the improvements we've made to the analyst experience when it comes to investigating alerts and how that ties into the wider entity analytics concept that we've introduced. So I'm here within my cluster, so I'm right within Elastic Security, and I'm currently on the alerts page. And I can see I have a few alerts to deal with today. But just by looking at these alerts, right, there's a list. It's not too extensive. There's about 30 alerts, but I don't know right now where I should be focusing my initial efforts. Which of these hosts might be riskier than others, perhaps? So probably it would make sense to take a look at that first and then take my investigation accordingly. So I'm going to pivot to the entity analytics dashboard instead. I'm going to start from here. So this will allow me to see my currently highest scored host in terms of the risk score, as well as the users too. So I might be able to want to focus for a particular user instead of a host. I can see here I have a few critical hosts here, as well as a critical user. And let's filter just for the critical to start looking at my investigation. So you know what? Let me go ahead and start with this host over here, this Windows machine. I'll take a look at that. And when I click on this page, it's basically going to give me a summary and breakdown of not only all the host metadata, but also any machine learning jobs and results that were found on that machine, as well as the highest contributors to the risk score, and a breakdown of all the alerts which were triggered. I can see here, for just as an example, if you haven't seen these before, the results of machine learning are very easily bubbled up and easy to read. So it's saying, hey, listen, you have an anomalous user agent here. So curl seems to have connected to this destination IP address on this host. Taking a look at these alerts here, just quickly flicking through them, I can see that there seems to be an alert which triggered, which is probably related to that machine learning result that we saw. But this one above it is really calling out to me at the moment, because I've seen in other news articles around that I've been researching, there's been a lot of malware being distributed by malicious OneNote documents. So because this is saying something was executed by OneNote, I'm going to go ahead and start looking at this alert first. And you can see how we pivoted from identifying risky hosts to going into a specific rule that was bubbled up in the alerts view for that host. So very, very easy. So within this view, there's a lot of information that we've been providing for a while. And if I go to the bottom here, I can see those particular alerts. So this is telling me that, hey, listen, OneNote seems to have launched this process, mshta.exe, which is a very common living off the land binary. Why don't I go ahead and take a look at the details tab here, where I can see things like any other related alerts. But what I really want to show you now here is this investigation guide with some new dynamic features. So Previously, the guides were very, very helpful. They'll tell you, they specifically described what you should do to investigate this potential incident. But then you would have to go and run manual investigations, which took time. So we wanted to reduce that mean time to respond by giving you one-click buttons that would do that investigation for you, which is exactly what this is. So this is now giving me a button to a pre-populated dynamic timeline, which is going to show me how prevalent that process that one node spawned is within my environment. So you can see this was all loaded up thanks to that investigation guide. So that particular process, thankfully, it only seems to be happening on that one host via that one user, which is that James Spiteri user, which is also rated critical. So you can see how useful having that risky rating is there. If I focused on James, I would have been taken to these alerts as well. So with this quick one-click investigation, I now know that this seems to be running on just this machine, so I can start to take particular action accordingly. But I also wanted to highlight this other dynamic link here, which allows me to run one-click OS query style queries on this particular host. So as an example, this investigation guide has given me a really easy way to show what patches are installed on this machine. So I want to go ahead and do that to just make sure the proper host is chosen here. And we'll submit it. So instead of me having to know what query to run, Elastic has given me that in the investigation guide. No copy and pasting or anything like that. Just click a button and select the host. That's it. So this will now give me the results of the patches. So at least I have an indication of, hey, is this host at least being patched? It seems to be infected and malware is running on it. And then if I wanted to, of course, I can go ahead and with one click, investigate further, or perhaps attach to a case. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to create a case just to show how easy that is. Let's go and create a new one. Let's give it a name. I'll assign it to myself. And let's give it just potential one node maldoc. Real quick description there. I won't use an external management system today. Create the case. So we went from identifying risky users to going straight into an alert which caught our eye because they were bubbled up as part of that risky host profile. Immediately we're able to investigate with one click to see what the prevalent process was or how prevalent the process was, and then run OS query with one click to get the patches. And not to mention, we've now can see all the other related alerts. So I can quickly investigate all the others within a timeline instead of having to go back to the alerts table and individually identifying if they're related. That is super useful. So those are some of the improvements to the analyst experience and investigation improvements that we've made. Let's talk a bit about now some of the improvements or additions to the cloud workload protection that we have. So we introduced cloud workloads protection and being able to spot malicious activity within things like Kubernetes pods and a Kubernetes cluster. But we can now take preventative action within those workloads as well. So not just on the Windows host, Linux, or Mac OS, but now even in containers. So for example, I have a couple of alerts here. Things like Kubernetes user exec into pod. This is coming from the relevant cloud provider audit logs, which is pretty cool. But right above it, and then I have a couple of other things. So I have suspicious Java child process, which is ringing all sorts of log4shell bells, and a few others. But I've also seen that this behavior prevention alert for ransomware, which I really don't want to see follow after a suspicious Java child process. So to start investigating this, let me click on the session viewer here, which is going to load up the session as if I was sitting in the terminal with an attacker, which is pretty cool. And I can see, let's make this full screen for the sake of this. And I have a couple of alerts that are tied into that session. So I can see exactly where within that session it happened. And here's that prevented ransomware outbreak. If you're looking at this, you might, it is related to that dark radiation script that was running around. I think it came about in about 2021. But thankfully, even though we seem to have a successful log4shell exploit here, which led to the eventual running or potential running of this ransomware infection, it was prevented with our workload protection features. So that is excellent to see. So we have really good coverage for not just our endpoints now, or traditional endpoints, but now also our container workloads. You can, of course, if you wanted to see where this fit into your wider Kubernetes infrastructure, you can see where it's running. So this is running on a particular Kubernetes cluster in this particular Kubernetes pod. So perhaps I want to pivot over to a dedicated view to see that, which we can, of course, take a look at here. So I can hop into my Kubernetes dashboard, filter for that pod that I just copied, and then I'll be taken right to that pod. But this, especially if you have like a lot of Kubernetes infrastructure across multiple different cloud providers, this is very handy to see it in context, right? And there we have it right within the Kubernetes view instead. But what's also really great is to identify, hey, listen, we had a successful log4shell exploit, which could have led to a ransomware infection, which thankfully it was prevented with that workload protection, but what might have led to that being successful? So this is where our posture management comes in. So we're regularly checking your Kubernetes posture against CIS benchmark. So where you might not be compliant with particular CIS standards. So I can go in here and check that. I can see where I have failings or failed findings, which might have led to that attack. But now, not only do you get Kubernetes posture management, with the introduction of the wider cloud ecosystem posture management, you get everything else. So you can see here as an example, this has evaluated my entire AWS account for potential CIS compliance failures. So you can see I have a lot of failures for S3 storage as an example, IAM, and even networking. So then I can click into any one of these and see where I failed and what the rationale is and how I can potentially remediate. So this is saying, for example, ensure MFA delete is enabled on S3 buckets, and here's what you should do to fix this particular finding. So just to really quickly recap, we went through a workflow where we've identified a prevented ransomware attack in our Kubernetes cluster. So we have that cloud workload protection and prevention, really easily able to investigate thanks to that session viewer and coupled with the Kubernetes cluster. And then we were able to see where we had potentially, not potentially, where we had CIS failures, which might have led to that initial log4shell exploit being successful. That's all I have for the demo today. I'm going to hand over to Jennifer Ellard, who's here with us today with a customer of Elastic Security. Take it away, Jen.
Thanks, James. Those new capabilities and features are great for Elastic customers who want to do more with less. And we've helped so many customers reduce complexity and be faster at solving security issues. One of these customers is EcoLab. Today, I'm joined by Kevin Serafin from EcoLab, and we're going to chat about EcoLab's experience with Elastic Security. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Jen.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us at ElasticON here. Tell us a little bit about EcoLab and your role at EcoLab.
Yeah, sure. So EcoLab is a global leader in water, hygiene, and infection prevention solutions and services that help people, the planet, and business health. We deliver comprehensive science-based solutions, data-driven insights, and world-class service to advance food safety, maintain clean and safe environments, optimize water and energy use, and improve operational efficiencies and sustainability for our customers throughout the world. So my team helps EcoLab do that by protecting EcoLab infrastructure and our customers' data.
Excellent. Can you share some of your key security challenges before you began using Elastic Security?
Yeah, we found Elastic through having problems over and over trying to correlate events across multiple security tools. In the last 10 years, security has just become such a large challenge, and all these solutions keep coming out. So what we needed was a way that we could centralize all that data into a single view so that my analysts can quickly figure out what the issue is and then do something about it.
Fantastic. Correlation is very important and takes so much time, right? Tell us a little bit about your current environment and how your organization is using Elastic Security now. So I'm thinking like how many users, what features and functionalities EcoLab is taking advantage of.
Yeah, so we have about 47,000 users at EcoLab across 50,000 plus endpoints. And really, the core functionality that we use Elastic for is around the security tools. So think of SIM, just analyzing data at scale through different visualizations, all the different integrations that Elastic offers to allow us to plug those different security platforms in. And also the machine learning capabilities are another large thing that we use every day.
Kevin, tell me a little bit about how you were able to reduce the complexity in your environment, whether that's like vendor complexity or just overall complexity with Elastic.
Yeah, so centralizing that data into a single data lake in Elastic really allowed us to identify redundant tools. And additionally, being able to model all of that data into a common data scheme using Elastic Common Schema really helped us normalize that data so that when we look at a firewall log versus some sort of cloud application, all the similar fields are all constructed the same so that my analysts don't need to understand the different intricacies for the different tools. They're able to just understand IP address or host name and things of that nature. So it helps us rapidly onboard all these different tools in a way that my analysts don't need to relearn another tool every time that we bring in a new data set.
That's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about your prior environment and some of the top benefits that Elastic Security is providing you compared to the previous environment.
Yeah, so visibility is probably the biggest thing. When we moved to Endgame, prior to that, we did not have nearly the amount of telemetry that we have today. So being able to see exactly what's happening on our endpoints from a security perspective has been a massive win for us. We're able to understand exactly what malicious software is doing or abnormal behavior, and we're able to really drill into that to understand exactly what's going on in our environment.
That's great. I understand you run a lot of your environment in Microsoft Azure, so a lot of your applications are running in the cloud. How has Elastic helped protect your cloud-based applications?
Yeah, so on the cloud-based front, part of the problem when you move to the cloud is everything is kind of atomized into individual packages. So you have a lot of logs all over the place. And we're able to, with Elastic, pool that into a single repository and really be able to understand all that anomalous behavior happening to different cloud applications or across our environment in a way that we wouldn't be able to do without something like Elastic.
You also have to secure about 50,000 endpoints. Tell us how Elastic Security helps you protect those endpoints.
Yeah, so we were an early adopter with Endgame when Elastic acquired that company, and it's been transformative for the way we protect devices at EcoLab. So, just from the anomaly detection, all of the different malware prevention techniques that are embedded in there, and as we get ready to migrate over to Elastic Agent, all of the different capabilities that are already in Elastic, like the threat intelligence module. We're really excited to be able to start ramping up all of these new technologies.
It's fantastic they're going to start using some more capabilities that we have. That's great. Is there anything about EcoLab's environment or your use of Elastic Security that presented specific opportunities or challenges in the future?
Yeah, our volume of data can be quite challenging. So Elastic tools like transforms and the machine learning anomaly detection really helps us find what's important, right? The signal out of all the noise that goes on day to day. And tools like that are really important for us to be able to really understand exactly what is happening and drill into exactly what is important.
I'm thrilled to hear that you're using the machine learning capabilities. I think those are really cool. So you've been using us for several years. So you probably have some advice for other Elastic customers. What kind of advice would you share with them today?
I would say the biggest thing is spend time getting your data right. Elastic Common Schema becomes exponentially more powerful as your data grows and as you add new data sets to your Elastic environment. So making sure that you're spending the time to make sure that that data looks right, it just pays dividends down the road when you start reaching a scale where going back and changing it can be more challenging.
Great. And tell us a little bit about what's next for your organization with Elastic.
Yeah, so I mentioned Elastic Agent is on our horizon. We're going to be migrating to that. One of the new features that we're really excited about is OS query integration. Obviously, observability is another area that we're looking to move into. Just from a security perspective, being able to see performance metrics, those are another signal that we can use to identify malicious behavior. And then deeper into machine learning. Our plan is to really get into that this year and really take it to the next level.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We appreciate your time today. And most importantly, thank you for being a great customer.
Thanks, Jen.
We have several more security sessions for you to join today. We have sessions with Informatica, Motive, and also Sitecore. Our partner, Accenture, is also sharing how they leverage Elastic. If you want to dive deeper and test your investigation skills, join our Capture the Flag session later today. Thank you for your time and attention.